I'm doing today my first video review ever, and it's going to be on the Davis Vantage Pro 2. Now, what's my qualifications for giving you information on it? Well, I've had the Davis Vantage Pro 2 for about 4 years now. I do see all these reviews on Amazon and other places where people just got the product today or yesterday and they're reviewing it. Well, I've had it for, as I said, 4 years. I also had the Davis Vantage Pro, or Vantage Pro 1 if you want to call it that, for 11 years before that. And actually, as you'll see, it's still set up and still operating 15 years after I got it. I actually got it in November 2001, and it's now February 2017. It still works with the exception of the rain gauge, which failed about 4 years ago when I got the Vantage Pro 2, and everything else on it works. I don't have the wind set up, and it's kind of nailed, screwed into a tree, which is not ideal, but still giving readings that look accurate and everything. The rain gauge, interestingly enough, when I called up Davis before I got the Vantage Pro 2 and asked him a question or two, the technical department, and maybe it was just the person I was speaking to at the time, but he was good enough to say it's probably some part in the rain gauge. He said, I'll send you out the part if you solder it in. Now I'm a mechanical idiot, so he did actually mail me the small part. He gave me two of them, two little things. I didn't know what to do with them, and I just figured, it was time for a new weather station, so I went out and got the Vantage Pro 2. It's an extremely accurate, well-built station. The original anemometer, the part that measures the wind, was on the roof. I was living in the Poconos through rain, sleet, snow, freezing rain for 9 years, and then I moved to Florida where I am now. I've been down here for 6 years. I only replaced the anemometer on the roof about 4 or 5 months ago, back in October 2016, and only because I had to go up there and do some work, and I figured I had the new one, which I got with the Davis Vantage Pro 2, sitting around for 2 years, so maybe it was time to go ahead and replace it. The old one's sitting in the garage, and it's still working properly after all those years. I'm not using it right now, obviously. Anyway, it's an extremely accurate weather station. I compare with other local weather observation sites, the National Weather Service sites, all the people, the 30, 40, 50 people in the area, and it seems to be, right in the middle of things. I think all the weather stations today have accurate temperatures, and a lot of it's pretty accurate. I'm not saying it's the best one to buy. It's a question of cost. I know there's other weather stations out there in the $100, $200 price range. Ambient puts out a nice one that if I was looking to replace it, I would consider it. It was the WS1, the 1001, something like that. Connects right to Wi-Fi. You don't need any wires. Goes for, I believe, $299, and gets some good reviews on Amazon and other places. The Vantage Pro goes for, I think, about $425, $450. I think it lists for $595, but you can get it for around $425, $450. But you do need to add in the USB link to hook it up to the internet, or to hook it up to your computer even, and that's another $125 or so. And I'll show you when I get outside. I also have, because I have it mounted on the roof, the anemometer, I have a transmitter, which goes for about another $125, which is, so you're up to $650, $700 versus $300 for the ambient and other ones that go for that amount or less. So it's a question of trade-offs with dollars. There's more expensive stations out there. The Rainwise, I think, goes for $1,000 to $1,500. And when I was looking 15 years ago, they had a Capricorn, which looked like a great weather station, going for a couple of $1,000s. I don't think they make it anymore. And there was, which I think is still made, there was a Texas, not Texas Instruments, but Texas something or other, which goes for $2,000 or $3,000. Looks like better equipment. If you look at the anemometer, it just looks more professional. But meanwhile, I've had the other one working for 15 years, and maybe we'd go for another 15 years. So you don't necessarily have to spend that money. But anyway, it's an accurate station. I'll take you around and show you the what's outside and show you the console and that sort of thing. Okay, here's the Davis console, and it's the same one they've been using for 15 years. Actually, the one for the Vantage Pro2 doesn't work with the Vantage Pro1, but it looks identical. Gives you wind speed every 2.5 seconds, which is a difference between some of the less expensive stations that I think give you wind speed less frequently than that, every 14 seconds or something. You can see the wind speed changing. And has the temperature, humidity next to it, the barometer, inside temperature and humidity. That last one that shows 67 is dew point, but it can also show heat index or wind chill. And the rain on the bottom can be either by storm or the current day's total, and the monthly or annual total on the right. Wind direction is also shown besides the wind speed. And there's a graph for whatever you wanted on temperature, winds, that shows, I think it's the past 24 hours. It's kind of a rudimentary graph. Incidentally, I'm using Virtual Weather Station for software, and it's hooked up to that, and Virtual Weather Station gives you all sorts of graphs which are totally customizable, and all the other figures on there. Everything is customizable. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay, here we have the old Davis Vantage Pro. Like I said, this is 15 years old. I haven't taken care of it, but it's still working. And actually, the battery in there hasn't been replaced in almost 4 years. You can see the solar panel looks like it's totally shut, and of course it's not in a great location, being on a tree there. That's the ISS, the part that's outside that has the temperature, humidity, all those, the rain gauge is in there, and I've got mounted on a pole on a tripod, kind of used for an antenna. Let's see if I can pan down to that. There you go. So anyway, it's you can mount it with the anemometer on top of it if you want, but it's much better to have this in the yard and the anemometer on the roof. Putting this on the roof creates inaccurate temperatures because of the heat from the roof. So the best thing to do is to separate, which you can do with the Davis Vantage Pro 2. Okay, that's the anemometer that I have mounted on the roof. You can see it spins around to give you the wind speed, and there's the arrow that is pointing in the direction. And one of the advantages of a Davis Vantage Pro, though, versus some of these other stations is you can mount the anemometer separately. It doesn't have to be mounted with the weather station as you would have in the Davis Vantage View, or also you would have that in the some of the other weather stations, like that ambient one I mentioned before. Also, you cannot separate the anemometer. Below that, I'm going to focus in on that. Down towards the bottom right there, that's the transmitter, which you don't have to have. It comes with 40 feet of cable, and if you want to hook it up directly to the ISS, you could do that, but the transmitter is nice. You don't have to have the cables running, and it transmits directly to the console. To sum it up, if you're looking for a good, reliable weather station, and like I said, I've had 15 years of reliability, you can't beat the Davis. There's certainly stations out there that may be very reliable and less expensive. There's also ones that are more expensive, but again, if you're looking for a station that will give you the reliability and durability, you really can't beat Davis, and in particular, the one I've had the experience with is the Davis Vantage Pro, and now the Davis Vantage Pro2. See you until next time. Thank you. I'm doing today my first video review ever, and it's going to be on the Davis Vantage Pro2. Now, what's my qualifications for giving you information on it? Well, I've had the Davis Vantage Pro2 for about 4 years now. I do see all these reviews on Amazon and other places where people just got the product today or yesterday and they're reviewing it. Well, I've had it for, as I said, 4 years. I also had the Davis Vantage Pro, or Vantage Pro 1 if you want to call it that, for 11 years before that, and actually, as you'll see, it's still set up and still operating 15 years after I got it. I actually got it in November 2001, and it's now February 2017,